Hello, everyone. Good to see you. I'm Rich Harwood from the Harwood Institute. It's great to be here today. We've got an hour together. Um, just so you know, I promise we'll be out of here at 1:30 Eastern time. I want to be respectful of your time, but in the meantime, we're excited that you're here and that we can have this conversation together today. So thanks for joining us. Um, Today is a bit of a celebration. It's exactly 1 year today that the book, The New Civic Path, was released. And since then, as many of you know, the book has become a bestseller. We recently won an award. Just this month, we're releasing what is ostensibly a new edition with a new preface, a new timely preface for folks who want to read the book moving forward. And since the time that we published the book, as you know, I've been traveling the country on the campaign for the new Civic Path. It was supposed to end last December, early this year. But because of the momentum that the campaign was gaining, because of the condition of the country, we decided to extend it for another full year. And so we're in the midst of that. And what I've been hearing as I've been crisscrossing the country, talking to folks from all walks of life and from all political persuasions, is that people are really looking for an apolitical message that's not about politics. That politics won't save us moving forward. They're hungry to find a new path where we can actually come together. And what's really clear is that we need to go together, not as Republicans, Democrats, and Independents, but as Americans, which I think is a timely thing during this year when we're celebrating the 250th anniversary of the country. Um, how we do that is what the book's about, as you know. It's about the new civic path that we need to turn outward toward one another. We need to figure out what we can agree on amid our real differences. We can't just talk. We've got to build together, and we've got to lift up the good that we're creating together, both to give our own selves a sense of possibility that we can do things and make a difference, and also to send signals to others that in this time, when things are so negative, so acrimonious, so divisive, so political, that we can actually come together and restore a sense of belief that we can get things done together. I suspect you do too, since you're here today, um, that this new civic path is more relevant than when I started to write this book more than a year ago, when we published it a year ago, when we're issuing a new version this month. And as this campaign continues, I know some of you are on this call from Florida. I'm about to head to Florida early next week to crisscross the state to do 6 events in about 6 days. And so this campaign, it just continues between now and the end of the year. What can you expect today? Um, I just want to put up a map here real quickly. We've got folks from all across the country joining us. I think that's another sign of just how hungry people are to get on a new civic path. Thanks, Tristan, in the country today. Um, what we want to do is we're going to drop into small groups in a moment. For those of you who read the book, we look forward to your comments. For those of you who haven't had a chance to read the book, no worries. Um, we can all actively and equally participate in today's conversation. So what we're going to do, because we really want to give you a chance to talk about this new civic path with others, with folks who are likely not to be from your community or from the group that you may have engaged with to talk about the book so far. Um, we're going to start with small groups. We'll go for about 20 minutes to give you a real chance to have a conversation together. Then we'll reconvene into a large group and hear what those conversations generated and what they mean for us moving forward. And then we'll talk about how both individually and together we can move forward and keep spreading this message about a new civic path. Make sense, everyone? All right. So um, before dropping into these small groups, which will be made up of about 3 or 4 people each, there are two questions I'm hoping that you can talk about. Uh, One of the premises of the book, and something I write about starting in the entreaty, which is the very first thing of the book, is that I've come to believe that we suffer from a crisis of belief in the country, a crisis of belief in our leaders, in our institutions, in our news media, in our faith institutions, and often in one another. Um, what would it take for you? What would it take to restore for you a sense of belief today? Is the first question. What would it take to restore a sense of belief for you today? And the second question is, throughout the book, I use the phrase, we're meant to go together. We're meant to be together. Again, it's repeatedly used throughout the book. Um, what do you think that means? Why do you think it's so important that we're meant to go together? And where do you find hope today? Where do you find hope today that we actually can go together? That we actually can go together? Where do you find that hope today? So, two questions. What would it take to restore a sense of belief for you today? And then, second, this phrase, we're meant to go together. Um, why is that so important? And where do you find hope that that's possible today? All right. So let's jump into small groups. We'll be back in about 20 minutes. We'll give you time notices so you know where you are and look forward to seeing you on the other side. All right. Good to see everyone. Hope that was fruitful. It's really, I meant to say when we began, it's really great to see everyone and to see so many faces of friends who I've known for a long time, others who I've just met more recently, and others who it's good just to meet today. So thanks for joining us. Here's what I'd like to do for the next few minutes. In the chat, put a word or a short phrase that captures how you're feeling coming out of that conversation. Put a word or a phrase that captures how you're feeling coming out of that conversation. And in the meantime, for those of you who want to just sort of share it with us, just share. You can come off mute. Don't raise your hand. Just come off mute and share the word or phrase that you came up with. So let me invite you to do that.
Hi, Rich. It's Annette.
Hey.
The group that we had, we're feeling hopeful.
Hmm.
But I think one of the themes that came out of it, which is obviously one of your most important teachings, is the whole joy of starting small and
Mm.
focusing on something small and celebrating that
Mm.
success and how that helps create hope,
Hmm.
helps create awareness that it doesn't have to be something huge. We look at the ripples that happen after that. And I also liked what we talked about was that by going slow, it lets everybody find their own pace
Mm.
and how they can join in.
Yeah.
So I found that very refreshing.
Yeah. What's really interesting, and that great to see you. Thanks for kicking us off. What's really important about people going at their own pace is that we actually never really know when people are going to join. Right? We don't know when they're going to come with us. The whole notion of an entreaty, in a sense, is it's not an invitation to come to our party. It's an entreaty that we go together. And going together happens, as you're suggesting, in that at different times, at different paces, in different ways for different people. So the door always needs to be open. Great. Thanks for getting us going. How about someone else? When you selected your word or phrase, what were you thinking about as coming out of this conversation?
Hi, Rich. It's Sherry.
Hey, Sherry.
Hey, yeah, I said I felt like being a part of something good, and because in our group we talked about some, how we were feeling, especially, talking about restoring a sense of hope and where we find relief. But what we kind of discussed in our group, Valerie, Bill, Jessica, and I, was, we're seeing people, we're meeting new people, people that wouldn't normally have comfort, speaking out or being around, talking about subjects that were maybe a little tense for them. But also, I mentioned that it's all ages, having the
Mhm.
opportunity from the Patterson Foundation to have conversations with youth all the way through the age brackets. People want similar things. They just
Mhm.
don't say it in the same way. So as we
Okay.
listen and we are able to be together, then we're finding hope in that.
Great. Great. Is it Badai? Is that the right pronunciation?
D.
Badi. Okay, great.
I was actually going to, thanks, Rich. I enjoyed the book and congrats on it. It's really cool and all the work that you did forging that new civic path. But I was kind of agreeing with Sherry that I was thinking the same thing. Like the three great people in my group, um, Dan, Arthur, and Sherry.
Mm.
I didn't know them, and I just talked to them, and just talking to them, getting to know about them and how great they are, and versus chatting with them or
Mhm.
commenting back and forth on social media. That's optimistic in itself because
Mm.
first off, we have the same intention. We want to build that new civic path. We want to make a difference, and then so that's like the common denominator, right, if you will. And then from there, talking to them and learning about their background and talking about what goals are and what you want to build or what their experiences were was optimistic. I think it's optimistic in itself. And I'm also
Mm.
just thinking like, what if we just broke down social media, broke down that barrier somehow, and got people engaged in genuinely inspired? Perhaps social media can be used as an inspiration,
Mm.
marketing. But it's just like I was saying, like to them, an example, like what you can kind of see with the effect of social media is that, and I kind of read this in Coleman Hughes' The Case for Colorblindness, is that he
Right
was
here.
pointing out that you will kind of meet people online based on their comments or their followers or what they said, and you already know them now, and you judge that they're not a good person because of what they said, and I'm going to unfollow them, and all the people that they're associated with, I unfollow. But if you were to walk into a person, I don't know, in the store or something, or at a sports bar, and you start talking sports, they could be your BFF, right?
Yeah.
So it's just that I think it's that barrier of getting
Mhm.
it's almost like, and I admit I work full time, so like the thought of going to an event and doing something is a little more than what I usually do because I don't go to the office anymore. But it's that initial effort in getting face to face towards
Mhm.
building something. I think it's a big difference maker.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for that comment. You said early on in your comment that you shared a common intention with the others in your group, and that intention is so important. And then you ended with the ill effects of social media and the ways in which we make all sorts of judgments about people based on what they're wearing, their comment, the language they may use, without having any real understanding of anyone's intention. And it's just a really good, you're reminding us in an important way that for me, the civic path is not about the activity of creating something. It's the intention of what we're seeking to create together, right? Which is something in common that we are creating, as you and Sherry mentioned, that we can come to know each other differently, that we can come to discover a sense of agency, both individual and collective agency that we have. And as Annette got us going, that it all happens at its own pace in small ways, and we have to keep at it. So thanks for adding that. Um, Janelle, good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Thank you for the invitation. I had a great conversation with Paula and Jim. And one of the things that Paula mentioned, and Paula is featured in your book, is a reminder to folks that we don't have to agree on everything.
Mm.
There's this sense, based on what Badi was
What do
saying,
you
that,
mean
oh,
we don't have to agree on everything?
it's beautiful. Dissent and disagreement, it can be patriotic, and
Yes.
it can be what we need. And the idea that we all have to agree on the same things all the time about every single topic is an impediment. And so that's
Mm.
Paula said that and said it more eloquently than I just did. It's just a reminder, we can still go forward if we don't agree on what the best football team is, or basketball team, or politics, or whatever. We agree we want this society and humanity to be better, and we can do that together. So
Mm. And what did it make you think about as you were having that conversation?
what we got to in a little bit is the second question, which is, what gives you hope? And what gives
Hmm.
me hope is when I know I look at people who are wearing a different kind of hat that I would ever wear in the street, and they still smile at me and say, "Hey, I see you, human. I know we we probably don't agree on lots of things, but I agree that you're a person, and I want to say hi to you, and I want to connect to you." And that's what makes me hopeful. People who I know, I'm like, we probably don't have a lot in common, but I thank you for recognizing and acknowledging me. Acknowledgement was another comment that we talked about.
Mm.
Just acknowledging where we are, and
Yeah.
being okay with not being okay. Um,
Yeah.
and just
You
moving on
know,
from there.
yeah, that's great. Thanks for the comment and the further reflection. It makes me think, of you said dissent and disagreement can be a form of patriotism. And as you know, one of the things that I'm really frustrated by, particularly given that we're celebrating the 250th right now, is that patriotism has been hijacked by folks who simply wave the flag and expect everyone to agree together, or by people who simply want to trash the country endlessly and not see anything good in it, notwithstanding the stains we have on our civic fabric. And like you, I'm with you on this, that to me, patriotism means love of country. And if you love something so deeply, it means that you stick with it not only when you like it, but especially when you don't like it. And that dissent and disagreement and even conflict at times is can be is an important part, are important parts of patriotism. So thank you for reminding us of that and bringing that to the fore. Someone else want to jump in? Would love to hear other thoughts about your conversation, what it made you reflect on, what the last three or four comments from folks have brought you to think about.
Hey, Rich.
Hey, Butch, good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. Yeah, I mean, from our group, I mean, there was a lot of hope in there as well. And one of the ladies was talking about how most of the younger people she's dealing with seem to have a lot of hope. And is actually based on a lot of what you talk about. We need to be talking together versus talking at each other. We need to be talking with each other.
Mhm.
And I think that, when you talk about things like patriotism, we need dissenting choices. In other words, there's a reason why some were conservative, some were liberals, some were independent. But we need those ideas because if we all went one way, we'd go off the tracks. And it's like the
Mhm.
other side just sort of, in their way of thinking, sort of puts us back on the track as well.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean that they're horrible people, because we always hear, I mean, in America, people are just terrible these days. But every time I see an accident, I see cars stopping. I don't care if they have a red tag or a blue tag or whatever on it. Everybody stops and helps out, and
Mhm.
that gives me hope in the sense that we
Mhm.
haven't lost our ability to care about each other. And I
Yeah,
think that that's important. And I think that what happens is we get too much into an echo chamber with the various news channels and so forth, and we forget that.
yeah.
But people I talk to, and I talk to people from all walks of life in my business, and no matter what, these people are good people, and I hear stories of how they've helped each other. So they're good people there. You may not agree with it, but deep down, they're good people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really important. At one point you were talking about, the differences and similarities between conservatives and liberals and different sort of strands of thinking. It's interesting in our work in communities. I'm thinking, I see Annette who kicked us off this morning, who's from a county in Ohio where we've been working. And, And that I think about you can't tell the ideas that you all generate, you can't tell which are conservative and which are liberal,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? It's just people are just coming together and saying, look, you know, this politics stuff, it forces us into categories that we don't live by. And that who cares where the idea comes from as long as it's a good idea and it's focused on what matters to us. And to me, like building on what you were saying, Butch, what gives me hope in this is that I can't tell who's a Republican and who's a Democrat when we're doing work in communities. We never ask people, they never tell us, and it doesn't really matter at all. Uh, so yeah, so thanks for that
Beautiful.
comment. Go ahead.
Also, we're going to say, when my wife and I got married, we were on the same page in a lot of ways. But one of the things that we promised each other was that because I'm a little more of a visionary, I would take her to the clouds and she'd keep my feet on the ground. And I think that when we look at our society and the different people that are together, there are certain people we need to keep us on the ground, but we also want people who are going to take us to the clouds to envision innovation and move forward as well.
Exactly. Yeah, so the essence there is we need each other.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? We've got to go together. We need each other. Thanks, Butch. Good to see it. Others, how about someone else jumping in? Reflections, thoughts at this conversation, foundation, who am I looking for? Oh, Victoria, there you are. Go ahead.
Right. Hi. I don't know why I just lost my screen, but
I was going to say it's good to see you, but I can't see you anymore.
I was just there a minute ago. I probably pressed the wrong thing. But what I will say is here in Sarasota, the Patterson Foundation has Patriot Plaza. Patriot
Mhm.
Plaza is located at the Sarasota National Cemetery, and it is welcome to all, and it's for honoring veterans, inspiring patriotism, embracing our freedom as Americans. And one of the things that I've learned there is it's a great equalizer.
Mm.
We are patriotic in our mindsets and our hearts. We can come from divergent points of view and be on the same ground and the same footing when we're focused in the same direction. And it allows for everyone to grab an oar and row in the same direction. And because we're going to the same place, and then that is to be Americans together and to share common ground wherever that may be. And when it's uncommon ground, maybe finding something that equalizes that ground and allowing space for people to have divergent points of view and still feel safe expressing them. And
Mhm.
I've really learned that on the pavers at Patriot Plaza, because you just never know who's going to show up for a tour, what their background is, and why that they even came, other than they have a sense of respect somewhere that I share. So I try to look for that common thread that we both respect. And I think when I do that in my civic responsibilities and my civic engagements and conversations, I'm going to walk away a little bit more edified
Mm.
than when I came. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Oh yeah, thank you. And I love that you connected the new Civic Path to Patriot Plaza. Um, it's a great connection. Patriot Plaza, I've been there. I see Deborah Jacobs on the call, who's instrumental in helping that get created. It was incredibly, I don't know, Deborah, if you remember, it was incredibly moving when you took me there that day. And, patriots served in service of our country. And to me, the new Civic Path is about how we can be in service to one another, in service to our communities, and in service to the country as well. So thanks for the comment. Yeah, we've got time for a couple more other thoughts, reflections, disagreements, dissent, in terms of what we've been talking about.
Rich, this is Dick Puffer from
Hey, Dick, good
South,
to see you.
South Carolina. One of the things that I have heard is, as people are talking, we all need to be part of the conversation.
Mm.
I think that this is a good place to remind ourselves or everybody here to let everybody else know that lots of people need to be part of the conversations that are needed to help our communities and to help our country. Because right now, our leadership doesn't think it needs everybody's participation. And it's important for us to remind each other that we do need each other's participation. We do need to vote. We do need to keep this process moving because otherwise we could lose it.
Yeah. Thanks, Dick. It's really good to see you. You make me think about, you said, it's not clear to me at all that our leaders want people to engage other than to cast their vote for them or to be seen. I said this on an interview the other day, to be seen as an ATM machine by which they give donations to campaigns to allow those campaigns to further divide us and strike fear in our hearts. And so to me, to your point, and you and I have go back quite a few years now. For me, the new civic path is about how we claim or reclaim a sense that we need to lead the politicians, not have the politicians always trying to lead us in negative ways. And so we've got to set more of a tone, but that's going to require more of us to engage, which to your point means we've got to activate and engage more folks to step forward and be part of this. So thanks for the comment. Other thoughts?
I actually have a question. On
Yeah.
your book, page 13, I just
Oh
have a
no, you
question.
you read you actually read it?
Yeah, I read it. I read the whole book. It was fun.
Thanks.
So,
Page
so why
13.
is it important to stay authentic, in your opinion?
To me, um, authenticity in part is about being real. And being real to me is not simply that I try to be real with you, which is important. But being authentic is, being real in the sense that we're grounded, that as was said earlier, we're intentional, that being real to me means that we have reality in our line of sight. That, one of the things I like about the prophets is that, we all think that the prophets were about imagination, and they were about imagination. They were trying to get us to think beyond ourselves into what we can be. But the thing I like most about the prophets is they always said, in order to know where you're going, you have to first be able to articulate where you are, being real, understanding reality. And for this work, for me, is it Anna? Is that,
Yeah,
yeah,
Anna
Anna?
or Anna.
Yeah. For me, so much of the work that happens in society is often divisive or acrimonious, or in other cases, it's detached from people's reality. It doesn't really reflect the lives they're living, the context in which they live, the things that they're up against, importantly, the things they're trying to create in their lives, right? The very reality they seek to create. And so to me, that's part of authenticity is is how can we be real and get on with the work that we really need to get on with and stop pretending and stop screwing around and stop fooling around and let's get on with it. So I
Okay,
hope that helps.
it did. Thank you.
Yeah. We're approaching 1:25 Eastern time. I know we got folks from different parts of the country. Deborah, you want to jump in? Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to kind of weave being authentic. And when we talk about change happens at the speed of trust, trust doesn't happen just because I said hello to you in a grocery store. It's because we sat around the table, we learned about each other, we showed we are vulnerable. And so I think when we think about this, the hope of why we have to go together, we can't go solo, but change doesn't happen just because, we read a book. Change happens as we decide who we are and how we're going to put ourselves into the conversation. Two sentences that the Patterson Foundation uses all the time that are so simple. Who else cares? and what's possible. And when we use those two questions about who else cares and what's possible, it kind of demystifies and allows for different ideas to come forth and opportunities to be real and be authentic.
Great. Thanks, Deborah. All right. So in the few minutes we've got left, I want to do two things. I hope you'll stick around for the second one. The first one, actually, Dick Puffer builds on your point that we need others to be part of this, Deborah. It builds on your point of who else cares and also the other point of what's possible. So this campaign that we're doing, as I mentioned earlier, is building momentum. I'm really committed. The Institute's really committed. I know many of you are really committed because you've told me to continually expanding this campaign, to continually deepening it, not because the Institute cares about it, but because people in communities want to get on a different path. So, to Dick's point, to bring more people into this and to enable you to move forward with it, I want to talk about three things that you can do immediately. And we're going to put up a survey. I'll go through it really quickly. And if you answer it, I promise you, we will be back in touch with you because we have a way to figure that out. So there are three things. One is many of you have already participated in a book circle. That's awesome. If you haven't, it's easy to do. We can send you the materials to do it, and you can have a book circle starting tomorrow. You may know other people in your communities. Think of yourselves as sort of agents of hope, as in the book. And you can spark others, catalyze others to hold a book circle. And in the process, gain additional allies in going together in your community, your organization, your group. Second, I mentioned earlier that I'm going to be heading to Florida next week and the week after. We're still going all across the country talking about this. We can do virtual events for either your community, for your organization. We're happy to do them. We'd love to do them. So if you want to hold an event and plug us in, we'll be there for you, and we'd like to do that. And then third, many of you know about the Harwood School, where you can learn about the approach of turning outward. So to Deborah's point, we don't just talk about it, we can take action and do it with others. Enrollment is now open for our next virtual Public Innovators Lab that begins in October. Enrollment also is open for the Harwood Catalytic Guide program, which is a deeper program around developing a catalytic mindset and catalytic behaviors. The next one's in March 2027. And so you can go to our website for both of those. And we can also bring labs to your local communities, all in service of helping people go together and get on the new civic path. Okay, thanks, Tristan. Let me just close this up and send us on our way by 1:30 Eastern time. So as we were all talking today, this is a tough time. I think a lot of Americans have lost hope, have lost a sense of belief, do want to figure out a way to come together and get on a more practical, a more hopeful, I would say a more inclusive and equitable path forward. I believe in order to do that, the change we need, like you likely believe, is going to have to begin in our local communities, where we can actually see and hear one another, where we can actually lift up our dignity and honor one another's dignity, where we can actually begin to move forward. So I believe the belief that we're looking for, the sense of hope that we're looking for, will happen, again, not by us simply talking about it, but by us getting into motion, as Annette started us off today by starting small. We want to ultimately go big. We don't want to just stay small. We believe that we need big change in the country. By lifting up the good works that we're doing. And I believe, and many of you have probably read, that if we can do this enough, we can actually catalyze a positive contagion in the country that begins to spread across the country and generate the kind of hopeful trajectory that we need moving forward. Last thing, but as we all said today, the only way to do it is if we go together. We're meant to be together. We're human beings. We're social animals. We need each other. We need each other to learn from one another. We need each other to innovate together. We need each other to build together. I believe we need each other to create joy together. And joy is a thing that we seem to be missing, and we're in short supply, at least when it comes to public life today. So let's go together. Let's keep building the new civic path. Thanks for joining us today. We'll have another one of these in the future. Stay tuned for other virtual and in-person events that the Institute's doing. We look forward to supporting your efforts in your communities, in your organizations, in the work that you do to make this country better and stronger moving forward. Thanks a lot. See you soon.
Thank you so much.